What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the TV Toycast YouTube channel. Today we are unboxing from Mattel Elite. It is From the Vault Series 2. It is The Undertaker as Kane. Of course, this is a Ringside exclusive from the Vault. Definitely a fun line where they're taking a lot of figures that we haven't gotten in a long time, a lot of them being Ringside exclusives like this one, and re-releasing it. A little bit new packaging, maybe some updated articulation, but another way to get it back in the collection. This is, of course, an Elite figure that a lot of people really dug. Some people grabbed it, some didn't. And I'm sure if you didn't, you probably regret it, because this is a fun idea. I think just one or two times The Undertaker appeared as Kane. It is funny now if you go back and watch it. It's so obvious it's The Undertaker just by the way he's walking and everything. But at the time, no one expected that. All of a sudden he takes the mask off and you're like, what? That's The Undertaker! Like, it was such a wild time. Back when wrestling was can't miss back on Monday nights, I'm sure you guys remember. I know we have a lot of current day wrestling fans, and I'll always be a wrestling fan, and I can always enjoy wrestling. But there are times when I miss the good old days for me. And I think it's a generational thing, right? We all kind of outgrow Power Rangers. We all kind of outgrew cartoons and different things, so it does happen. But this is kind of a cool moment in time to get. It looks like he's got two heads there. If you can barely see it, but kind of peeking in there. They got a second head. But of course, we got the mask, as you can see, so you can basically do the reveal. And of course, that classic '98 style WWF title. Yes, I'm calling it the WWF. I don't care. Very cool idea. I love that picture. Again, it was such a wild moment in time, and I think Ringside doing this line and that new Defining Moments line is a cool idea. I got some more of those to unbox. I got more from the Vault to unbox. I do know I have the Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, the New Age Outlaws, and we got a new Legends Billy Gunn coming. Actually, the Undertaker's in that wave too, and it'll be Smoking Guns Billy Gunn. And I don't know about you guys, but that's wild to me that several years after he debuted in AEW, which was like 2019, we're in 2025, we are still getting Billy Gunn figures. I mean, wow. I don't understand it. And we're getting AEW Billy Gunn figures. We've gotten a couple of them already, so it's really wild. It's one of those things I'm like, I don't know how they're doing that, but good for us, good for the fans. Hopefully we can get a Bart gun down the road. I think that'd be really cool. Let's take a look at this packaging here. Of course, classic Undertaker with the eye makeup and the crazy goatee. This is a big wave, 8 figures. I think since then they've started doing 4, which I think is a little easier for most of us to collect. But of course the packaging is very reminiscent of the old school, like the first wave of Elites, which I always enjoyed. A little bit different. I do remember those had like a window right here where you could actually see the back of the figure. Kind of cool. But 8 figures is a lot to collect, especially at the prices figures are at now. So I think 4 is a little bit more doable. But of course, in this line, you got Eddie Guerrero, you got Big Daddy Cool Diesel, the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels, Billy Gunn of the New Age Outlaws, The Undertaker as Kane, again, super fun, the Road Dogg of the New Age Outlaws, Rikishi, and Paul Heyman. I believe of this line, I purchased 4. I picked up Diesel, I picked up the New Age Outlaws, and then, of course, The Undertaker as Kane. So just 4. But again, that's what's cool about any Mattel Elite collection. You have to buy what you want to buy. In fact, just the other day, I was on the old Instagram, and I think what's so cool about things like Instagram and stuff is seeing what other people pick up and things of that nature. And Hasbook, Grinville Nash, really nice guy. He did, of course, the Hasbook, a big guide to the original Hasbro line. Apparently what he does, and I was like, man, that's such a cool idea. He buys Elites that are in the same packaging, or I'm sorry, the same attire as Hasbro's. And so he did like some part swapping with a Rowdy Roddy Piper to put him in the exact gear that his Hasbro's in. The hair, the kilt, the shirt. I'm like, man, that is an awesome idea. And I love seeing how people collect. I know some people are like only a certain era, or only Attitude Era, or only Golden Era, or only, whatever it might be. But that, to me, is what's so cool about an Elite collection, is there's so many different characters. There's so many, like, you guys have seen what I've unboxed, right? The Goon. Who would have expected to see a Goon figure from Mattel Elite? I certainly wouldn't have. But in that same week, I also unboxed Pat McAfee, right? Like, how wild is that? We got a Pat McAfee figure, and why not, He actually had a match just the other night against Gunther on Backlash. So very cool stuff. But so many figures and so many lines. I think it's really, really cool. We've gotten a couple of Harley Races, who obviously means a lot to me personally. So I think that's really cool. The Headbangers recently. I got the Dudley Boys up there to unbox still. The classic version of the Dudley Boys. So lots of cool stuff. And again, that's what makes these collectibles fun. So kudos to Mattel. I mean, for having the line, like 15 years now? I think they're the longest company to have a WWE line. Jakks previously had it, I believe, 14 years. I missed a piece of tape. Dead gum. Because they had it from 1996. Maybe it was it 16 years? They had it from 96 to 2010. Well, really 2009. So about the same amount of time, actually. Mattel might be exceeding that, though. I'd have to do my math on that. But I do know because Mattel took over January 1, 2010. I remember that was the big thing that they were pushing at the time. And what's funny, I've talked about this before, that title belt, very cool. A little bit bent up, but that's all right. Got a couple extra hands here, and of course an extra head and a mask accessory. But one of the things that they were saying is like, oh, these Elite figures are going to be $20. The basics will be $10. The 2-packs will be like $18. And I'm thinking like a $10 basic, maybe. $20 Elite, good luck, pal. No one's going to pay that. And, well, here we are. But at the same time, it's all about how things are marketed, I think. And at that time, we had never really seen action figures that expensive. And obviously, that's kind of par for the course now. I love the head sculpt. Classic Taker. Got the eye makeup on, the goatee. Very, very cool. The double sleeve Kane. Very tall figure, as he would be. Again, they had to do. I think they introduced the double sleeve Kane because of Taker's tattoos, because they wanted to do this. The paint on the arms looks a little different. Like, it's not quite the same shade. Not a huge deal. You pull it back, it's not a big deal, but yeah, don't really like that. Of course, we got a Kane head here, so it is very much a 2-in-1, so you could really do a Kane. But let's see how this looks here. So we pop this on. That's actually pretty cool. It actually looks pretty decent. Like, from a distance, let's put him back here. I bet you wouldn't be able to even tell that that's not. The head might be a bit big because you got the mask going over, but not horrible. But I think I'm going to display it like this. Like he's holding the mask. Yeah. Because to me, it's like that's what this was all about. Him. See if I can pop that mask up. That very cool. But again, 2-in-1 with a Kane head. I wonder if Kane and Undertaker split the royalties. I'm sure they did. So you can tell that's definitely a Kane head. That's definitely not an Undertaker and a Kane mask. So definitely cool. We got a couple of different hands. Not to me super necessary. This old school title belt, very, very cool. We got the scratch logo on it. Of course, this says WWE. So it's not like all super authentic, but it's also one of those things. That's all they can really do, right? Kane did hold this title for one day, as we remember, and then I think Vince McMahon did a presentation, and it wasn't even this belt; it was the other belt, which was weird. But yeah, Kane won this from Stone Cold Steve Austin, King of the Ring, 1998. What an event that was! Featured one of the craziest matchups of all time. Dan the Beast Severn versus The Rock. I said what I said. No, I always kind of laugh because Dan Severn had very minimal pay-per-view appearances. He was the guest referee at Fully Loaded '98 in a dungeon match between Owen Hart and Ken Shamrock. He was in the '99 Rumble, and then I think he competed in King of the Ring '98 in a King of the Ring semifinal against The Rock, which a lot of people thought it was going to be Shamrock and Severn, which might have been the plan, but Severn and then Shamrock I don't think gelled super well in the WWE, which Shamrock did, but I don't think their chemistry would have worked, so it made more sense to have The Rock go on. But yeah, that night, D'Lo Brown, I think, was the debut of his chest protector. If it wasn't, it was one of the first times he wore it, and he hit old Severn with the old frog splash because Severn tore his pectoral. I believe in storyline with he made him wear the chest protector because if you tear your pectoral muscle, the best way to fix it is a chest protector. I don't know. It's the WWF. What are you going to do? Love it, though. I do want to see what the Kane head looks like because, like I said, that doesn't look bad. It is a little big just because of the size, but it does fit on very well. Like, you can even see the eyes through there, which I do. I don't know if you guys can see it on the camera, but I do appreciate that. Let's pop the head off here, which shouldn't be too difficult, and it was not. And so we're going to pop the Kane head on. Waiting for that. There it is. So yeah, definitely a different look at Kane too. So you can definitely have The Undertaker, you can definitely have Kane. Very, very cool. To me, this is always kind of like my favorite look of Kane, with the exception of the sleeve. I prefer the one sleeve, and then like the side he had like the stitching, not the double design. It was like the stitching on that side. I always preferred that. That if I were gonna pick a Kane, that's the Kane. And I think they did it at Fighting Moments recently. I don't think I picked that up, but that will be something I grab because that is like my favorite version of Kane. For a guy who had a ton of different looks, that was like, to me, the one that resonated absolutely the most. But this is a cool idea and a super fun idea for an exclusive. So props to Mattel for giving it back to us, knowing that, hey, this figure did well, and I think people are going to want to see it again. So let's make it happen. Very cool. I like that. I like that look of him holding the mask. I wish he could hold it by the hair. There was actually a WWF magazine article, well, like a ad for Shop Zone back in the day, and he's holding a Taker or a Mankind head by the hair, but it was a Halloween mask. Great stuff. Great stuff. But anyway, that's all I got. Thank you guys for checking out the TB Toycast YouTube channel. A lot of other unboxings to check out. I'll briefly go over this as this video is going a little bit long on time. Check out the Thundercats, Lion-O and Monkey-In from Super 7. Check out Spawn, Medieval Spawn, Commando Spawn, and Saber from the Retro Spawn line. Check out Captain Spaulding from NECA, a really fun one. Check out the Headbangers, Mosh and Thrasher from the Mattel Elite line. All available in the archives. Check out Tales of the Toy Box. I've got 2 episodes up, one on WWF Hasbro and one on Street Fighter G.I. Joe. Check those out, and new episodes of What's on the Pegs every Saturday to literally see what I'm finding out there on the pegs. Thank you guys for checking out. Also, oh my gosh, I almost missed it again. Check out the TV Toycast podcast every Thursday with me and Travis. We have a different main event, and we talk about all the happenings in the toy world for that particular week. So check that out wherever you get your podcast. Thank you guys for checking out the TB Toycast YouTube channel. That is The Undertaker as Kane, and we will see you in the toy aisle.
Yeah. One more time. It ain't over till I say it's over. So lock the cage up, cause this is a takeover. The wait's over. If this the final time we meet, then you'll be on your back on my feet. Then I'll tip the cage over as a hangover. I'm super fly so I can splash off the top. And I can shut down the shot.